Hey everybody, welcome. And we are just about to go live with Dr. Tom. Jen is around, but I don't know if she's going to be popping in, but I've got a good Jen success story. Today's session, Miracles, Magic, and Coffee, welcome. This is a show to help you get over
I've got a good
autoimmune conditions.
Jen success story.
Let me just get rid of this thing there. Help you get over autoimmune conditions, anxiety conditions, other conditions. Today's show is with Dr. Tom Giammatteo, one of my teachers from way back in 2000 and still ongoing, and a colleague and friend. And we are going to be talking to him about ending anxiety and depression, like how to let go of anxiety and depression. There's actually an integrative manual therapy class called Letting Go of Depression. And there's a whole thing called systems. Now they're called blueprints that are about letting go of anxiety. And I've done those myself many, many times in the past, but Dr. Tom has a lot of new ways to do that. So we're going to go through that. Let me just go grab those. And yeah, there's also a letting go of anger class and all sorts of good stuff in integrated manual therapy. But we're going to talk to Dr. Tom about all the different ways that he's seen that can help that. And Jen had a success story. You know, she had worked through a lot of stuff. This is in here, I think. She had worked through a lot of stuff on her own, but way before I met her. And let's just see if this is in here. But the anxiety and depression was still something that she had been working on. And I'm trying to see where I have that. The anxiety systems. Where are the anxiety systems? I think it's in the pelvis class. But we'll find them. And one thing that helped her a lot was just going off of gluten. So we've talked about that in, I think, the last episode. But it's crazy to think that. But when she went 100% off of gluten, the anxiety just totally cleared. And it's so much so now that if she gets a little gluten, her symptoms are insomnia and hip pain and some anxiety and depression kind of stuff. So so we try to keep Jen off of gluten, and we do a good job of it. But that was a success story, and it's a simple thing to do for anybody that wants to do that, is to go 100% gluten free and just notice what gets what shifts in you. Let me just go right here. So so there's that extra little piece that's actually a big piece. I'm just trying to find things that I want to share with you guys. Here we go. There's also a Too Good to Be True blueprint, because sometimes as you get what you want in life, you can have all. There's also adrenal systems and blueprints, anxiety, anger systems. There they all are. We're going to put this all in the field for you as we clear this stuff out. So go to the YouTube link, and it's in your email. If you don't have it, you can go find it in your email. I probably sent you an email if you're on my list. If you're not, you can go to ralphhavens.com/true healing, and there's lots of resources, and any of those will click on to give you, get you on the email list. So we're just waiting for Dr. Tom. Let me just check the YouTube and see if anybody's commenting. We'd like to do this live. We could do it, ahead of time and then edit it and all that sort of thing. But there's something good about just going live. So one of the things about it, though, is that sometimes there's a little lag time. So yeah, so let's do a little something just to help you guys out while we're waiting for Dr. Tom. I'm going to, so you can check and see how you feel with this. So think about any kind of issues you have around anger, anxiety, depression, fears, and I'm going to set it in place an intention and a bit of matrix energetics, and let's just using my magic wand, use everything you want. Everything you want. Yeah. All right. So we're all set energetically. Everything is a go. If you're watching live, leave a comment and let us know where you're at. Look, oh, here we go. Ivar. Oh, great, great. Yeah, so Ivar, let us know if there's something to be done for you today that you want to share. What might that be? Just leave us a little note. I'll put this in the comments too. You can put it in the comments or in the chat. I'll leave it as a comment for you so that we get to save that one. But yeah, what would you like? What would you like? And while we're waiting for Dr. Tom, we'll do a little session for you. Yeah, just let us know what you might like. If something were to change for you today, and everybody watching live or later, if something were to change for you today, what might that be? Okay. Fears, anxiety, especially over money and debts. Okay. Let's do a 2-point for Ivar. We're going to go here. And here. Everything Ivar wants. Just checking it in. One more Tom, so we got a little time. Yeah, so if you want to share, what are you noticing? What are you noticing, Ivar? Okay, we have got all of my windows up perfectly here. Right there, right there. Okay. Let's see, Ivar is saying, okay, maybe some relief of stomach heavy feeling. Awesome. 50%. So just keep your attention inside your body while this works for you. Anxiety 1 feels in belly. Okay, awesome. Just notice that. And if you didn't have to call it anxiety and you can just notice the physical sensation, notice that. Every once in a while, you might see me take a big breath or what looks like a yawn. It's an instant miracle technique that comes through. So notice the most intense part of the most intense part of whatever the sensation is, and then type it in and let us know where that is. For anyone that's watching the live or replay later, Ivar is the lucky guy because he's on live and he's commenting, and we're waiting for Dr. Tom. So we're doing a little session. And you might notice a difference, a change in yourself if you follow along. And there's Tom. So now Ivar is calmer now to about 30%, or they're about not such an edge. Awesome. And if anybody wants more of that, let me know. Comment, leave me your information, find me on the internet, and I'm going to post your comments, Ivar, so that we have that for everybody to see later. So thank you for being our person, and we're going to go right to Tom now. Right to panelists. And let's ask to unmute. Ask to start video. There's Tom.
Hi, Ralph.
Hey, Tom, good to see you.
How are you? How are you, buddy?
Really good, man. Really, really, really good. Lots of cool stuff. I'll have to fill you in later with some cool stuff. We've been playing around because Ivar was on live, and I thought, well, while we're waiting, we'll play around, and we were playing with some stuff to help him out. And he, let me see what he commented. He said, where'd it go? Oh, where did it go? Here it is, I think. Yeah, he said, calmer now to about 30% or there, about not such an edge, and anxiety, he was feeling it in his belly, and some kind of relief in his stomach, heavy feeling. And he was on this call for fears, anxieties, especially over money and debts. So he had and I was telling the story of Jen, how she had worked on herself a lot over the years before she met me, but she still had some depression stuff, and getting her off of gluten was the big one, so much so that when she has gluten, we know because she gets depressed and anxious, and her hip hurts and her insomnia comes back. So I thought, well, that's a good one to tell people and play with. So, but yeah, I thought I would, and I was telling about the blueprints and things we used to call systems, and how I used to do the anxiety systems over and over, probably like overall over the years 10 times through, just to clear off more and more layers, and how I solved that issue for myself with you guys. And so, yeah, just opening it up to you, like any, and yeah, I know you're doing a lot of new stuff now with integrated manual therapy, but yeah, your thoughts on anxiety, depression, and also like some people just have anxiety or depression for no apparent reason. Maybe they know stuff from the past that they might think might be part of it, or sometimes they don't feel like they had a traumatic past, but anxiety and depression. And other people, it's like it's at an all-time high right now. I think I saw one report that calls to the suicide hotline are up 1,200%. And so the opioid epidemic has taken them back, gone up again. a lot of people in a lot of pain. So anything you want to say about all of this stuff?
Well, it's definitely a high week of everybody in a panic mode. Okay, and we had talked about I'm writing my newsletter this week, and we're going back to the blue-eyed radiation coming out of the devices we use. You know, so if so. Our cell phones, our LED, flat screen TVs, our laptops, when we're looking at those lights all the time, and even the LEDs in the light bulbs that we're using nowadays, is not it's not a natural light to people. So that chaos is sparking up more anxiety in people too. And we had talked before about Dr. Bates, who was a vision specialist. He talked about going outside and doing the sun massage.
Oh, right.
I feel that that's one of the things that I've been using for 10 to 20 plus years on just helping what they call seasonal affective disorder, depression and anxiety that way. And with this COVID isolation and people are watching more TV or checking their phones more, they're really getting into this process. So we started a newsletter on blue-eyed therapy of trying to detox from that. So if this may be something for everybody, is to put a timer on and try not to touch their phone for 4 to 6 hours. And,
that's awesome.
We're making a half a day holiday that you can only check the messages from like 12 to 12:30 and then be off of it again. And maybe listen to music or keep the TV on the background, but don't stare at it. Because I think anything that's electronically, digitally resonating and you have to look into it is really stacking up. Ever since we went into this lockdown in March, it's been chaotic and crazy there.
That's a productivity hack also, is a lot of the people that are really, really, really busy and get a lot of stuff done, they only check their email. They definitely don't check it first thing in the morning. They do their self-care, their exercise, their reading, they're planning what they're going to do for the day. They start doing the important stuff. And then sometime later in the morning, they'll check their email. And then maybe at the very end of the day, they'll check it again. Not right before bed, but the late afternoon before they stop work. And that twice a day kind of process, I'm not always good with that. I check it a few times here and there, but man, you can get a lot of stuff done real efficiently instead of just keep it on one track and seeing if somebody commented about your thing.
Yeah, it's definitely making a lot of people crazy. So, and then again, this isolation, we in our society, we've always been distracted about connecting with our feelings, right? And even on TV, it's like, don't feel this, don't feel that, take a pill for this, be on this medication. So as an American culture, nobody ever really wants to talk about how I feel or what is actually going on with me. And people actually become intimidated to even use the I feel statement a lot of times. So if you hear somebody say, I think I'm sad, I've been using a lot of mind words that are up in their head too much instead of really getting connected with the heart and everything else.
That's awesome. Yeah, we used that with Ivar at the beginning today to have him go inside his body and just feel where the anxiety or the depression was and what it actually felt like. And it was down to 30% of what it was when he first started. So that's big. Just feel it. So feel it. Don't be tucked into all that blue light radiation from the cell phones and stuff. Take big breaks, maybe 4 to 6 hours even. And the Dr. Bates sun massage, it's closing your eyes and then looking at the sun in the morning, or how is that?
Wherever you can see a non-cloudy sun is the best, right? And so where if you can see the bright sunshine, and you can look up into it and just rock your head back and forth as the sun massages back. And if you haven't done it before, it actually hurts a little bit.
And I'm going to take off this covering that I put on when the morning sun comes through this window, and I haven't taken it off, so I got to go look at the outside out there now, right, too.
And if I'm inside all day long, I'll go out 2 or 3 times and just try to catch a little bit of fresh air and, you know, sunshine that way. But there is, and stay off the media as much as possible. Stay off all the social Facebooks. It's just really scary, and people's triggers are getting even more sensitive.
Yeah, really good advice. We found that too. Jen is off of Facebook now, and I just do it for work-related stuff pretty much, instead of trying to save the world with clicks and likes and shares.
Yeah, yeah, you know, there's lots of people protesting, and then they escalate to riots. And in my interpretation, we have a lot of good people with open hearts that want to express themselves in a protest. And then we have the people that are even more anxious, that come in and want to beat something or get anger elevated. And I feel that they're actually 2 different groups at the same time, right? So the protest has the energy to start something, and then the angry people come in on the other side. And I know your coast in Portland, it's really hard, and there's the smash of federal people coming in and everything else.
Yeah, and it's interesting. When I first moved to town, I was doing demos of matrix energetics, and I had a round table of the psoas. There was a bunch of therapists with the psoas muscle. That's what we were all talking about. And it came time for me, and people were doing demos of whatever they were doing. There was visceral manipulation thing. Well, there was structural integration, like roping things and movement things and others things. And so I was going to do a demo, and this guy stood up, and we checked his range of motion, he took off his belt and threw it on the treatment table, and I couldn't not look at it. I was like, oh my goodness. And I saw myself doing this. So in typical matrix energetics fashion, I went for it, and I took the belt and I whipped the hell out of the table in front of 20 people I didn't know in the middle of the night. It was like 8 o'clock at night, dark in the winter. And everybody's like, whoa. But all of a sudden I felt really relaxed, and the tension in the room went way down. But we checked, because there was a lot of anxiety, I think, around performance anxiety, all these practitioners, whatever. But then we checked his range of motion, and it was better. And so at the end of the night, we were standing out in the drizzle, me and this guy and his girlfriend, and I was waiting for Jen to pick me up because she had the truck. And he goes, yeah, that was weird, man. And I said, I know, I couldn't not look at the belt. And he told me I was whipped every day of my life. And so it's like, who knows what just shifted for him. But some people have like things, I've heard things like, you know, if somebody's had a lot of abuse, they equate nurturing and love with violence, you know, or like excitement, or there's all these patterns that can kind of bring up anxiety and depression and all sorts of inner struggle. And then, you know, maybe they're the people that are anxious and angry in Portland, you know, and they feel better after they have a good fight. But you know, we have in integrated manual therapy, we have lots of techniques to release stuff. What are some accessible ways that people could start down this road and then reach out to you or me, and we could point them towards more people that could help, or more therapies, but what's some stuff that they can do? You gave us a lot of really good stuff to do so far, really, really good. Anything else like you see in the therapeutic?
Well, both my wife and our teacher, Sharon, wrote a book called The Body Wisdom by Sharon Gimateo. And that's a really good self-help book. You can find it on Amazon. And then we co-authored another book called Reflection Therapies, where it's a bunch of images that help calm down the subconscious. And I'm just going to share, you mind getting me the reflection therapy book? show it to you.
I'm gonna go grab them and stick the links from Amazon in there.
So it's an amazing set of 36 or 38 images, and they go in deep into when we developed the book, we used photographic paper. So here's the first one on the Body Wisdom book by Sharon, and this actually gives hand placements, and it tells you where you can do like an acupressure therapy to yourself to relieve tensions and anxieties. In the back of the book, there's 40 actually diagnoses. If I have a headache, if I can't sleep, if I have anxiety, it works that way. The second one is this reflection therapy book here, and it goes in with graphic design, Ayurvedic medicines, colors and shapes that seem like what do they do to our body, and they can actually open up different pieces. So, and this one is about lowering the reaction to claustrophobia.
Oh, very cool. That's probably super useful right now.
Right. So if they want to take a camera shot of that, that'd be great. Okay. But there's 30 of them in here, and you can just flip through and see what picture attracts you. Or sometimes people read the words that are on the titles of this. And what we always settle, we'll leave that to the end, is elevation of mood is just an amazing one. I'll leave that as a surprise at the end of our talk today. So some of the titles of things that they can help with, and this you can find on Amazon too, is letting go of reaction responses, letting go of stress-induced thoughts, performance-based anxiety, elevation of mood, lowering of response to nightmares, lessening response of the limbic system, alleviating pain, attitude adjustment, learning to be alone, letting go of fear are some of the titles in here of things that can help people. And there's a picture, and then there's a statement of meditation to do at the same time. And I hand this book out probably to about 1/3 of my clients if they're having stress and anxiety, and that seems to help. And even the picture itself has energy to it. So some people just put the picture under their pillow, and it works that way.
Yeah, it's really powerful. The Body Wisdom is especially powerful too. They're all powerful.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of that one. I did a lot of, it was, the rage spot right here. And then I would put my hand here for the forearm, and the upper arm, beliefs and control, and just lay on my side. And that's how I would go to sleep at night, because it was hard to hold other spots. But I could lay on my side like this. And that one helped a lot.
Yeah.
Rage and control and belief systems.
Yeah. And it's still a time of transformation. We are growing in awareness of humanity and dishumanity in the world, and pains and not pains in the world. And it's okay to start to announce them instead of just hold them inside. So
what about if yeah, that's good. What about somebody who has a really strong belief and feels like there's this injustice in the world, like whether you think somebody should be wearing a mask or they shouldn't be wearing a mask, or somebody should be vaccinated, or it's like, don't vaccinate me, or there's a lot of fraud in the regulatory agencies, or just do what you're told. But people having Black Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, or people have such strong things, and they feel like but it's socially right. It's like I'm on the side of right, and raging these techniques as you use them, the reflection therapy and the Body Wisdom hand positions. What happens to what do you notice when people have that, yet they still see something that's an injustice that they want to change in the world?
I listen to their what seems like being emphatic about something, and try to hear the understory of urgency that really wakes them up. I feel that everybody has a little bit of humanity in them and wants to be respected and honored. And there's not too many people that really want to do harm to other people. So it's figuring out what that charge has for that person, helping them channel that into a better energy for themselves and other people at the same time. Because if we should be able to hear that and respect that and ask what we can do to help them change that piece.
I like that. Respecting them, honoring them, understanding them. See how we can help channel that energy.
Yeah. Or, you know, it just, it's being in this, give them 6. It's just to be, you know, recognizing that we all are here, and again, being in isolation and being in our small micro units, if it's just one person or 5 people that we have to interact with. It's been interesting to see. I went on vacation with my family and returned from 3 people into 15 people. And after we made sure that everybody's healthy, we really had a good time because we missed the connection and getting hugged. And I think everybody's depleted in non-huggable time increments now, and you know, sharing and seeing faces, and the mask blocking hinders some of that at the same time. So, and I think people are enraged inside and sad that these things are happening to them.
Yeah, what I notice is there's something in IMT called nosodes, where you put the offending substance on a person's body, and then you can see what shows up in their body and treat it. And maybe this masking up, this isolation is a really severe nosode that's bringing up a lot of stuff in us, and then we can clear this through reflection therapy and the body wisdom therapy and going inside and doing the peace process, what you're feeling thing. And then because of these big problems, these obstacles, these awful things that seem to be very awful, they can be used as a nosode, as a thing that then brings up the junk and we can clear it, and yet still change things so we don't have to have masks and isolation later.
Well, just an interesting fact, we were at winter school, we had a person who does a lot of breath exercises and has gone into a lot of deep breathing pieces. And one of her quotes was that 70% of all our waste actually comes out of our lungs as we're detoxing. Right? And only 10% comes out of our poop, and another 5% comes out of our urine. And so now we're putting a mask on and we're rebreathing all that, right?
Wow.
So we need to have that exchange, and that could be one possibility of this process. And there's been a few articles out there on, you know, the performance of even surgeons and their mental capacity as they continue to wear their surgical masks over time and things like that. So there's a lot of deep interchange of those pieces there too. So I think that also the level of chaos in the system.
Yeah, Ivar said he's appreciating all this stuff for sure, and he says, you know, nosodes are part of homeopathic prescribing. So and I know you know that you deal with homeopathics a lot. I'm going to leave a link just in case anybody wants to look. There's one thing that gives me it's only if you want to look, and it's a link that if you want news that's connected to research, and then want a way to go look at the research yourself, like Tom is talking about some of the studies that are done with masks and surgeons to see how it's affecting their performance. There's also stuff about their health, and there's a new study out about somebody they took with that had tested positive for COVID, and they took swabs inside the mask and swabs outside the mask, and they found that the masks were like harboring the virus, and then when they talk, it's spewed out even more concentrated. So just because it seems common sense that a mask would help, there's a lot of research that says masks are problematic. And then the latest one about the COVID study they did was quite interesting. But there's a place called thehighwire.com. I just posted it. And it's a guy named Del Bigtree who was the daytime talk show. He was the producer of the daytime talk show The Doctors for 6 years and won an Emmy. And then through a series of events, couldn't make shows about vaccines. And she literally asked God, like, do I make this show on my own, or do I just like shut up and do what I'm told here, like they're telling me? And he got a call in the next few seconds from Dr. Andrew Wakefield, who was at the heart of the whole problem or issue, and who happened to be in Hollywood at the same time, and or Venice, California. They met, and then that's where the movie Vax came up, and it just started this whole thing where he's got a new show called The High Wire. You can get on YouTube or Facebook or on thehighwire.com. The cool thing about that show is you can type in ICAN, I-C-A-N, and into the comments if you're on Facebook, or into a text message, and he'll instantly download all the peer-reviewed science, so that it's hard to like follow this stuff. But then you can not like believe me or Dr. Tom or Del Bigtree or anybody, but you can start to look at some of the research, because one of the things that's cool is just to take a look. I know Kim Burnham years ago, I was going to have a medical procedure done because I just thought, well, I'm going to be 50 years old. It's what you're supposed to do. And she said, how do you know? And I said, oh yeah, I've never looked. I've just been hearing this little mantra that at 50 years old, you go get your oil changed, and do these things. And I looked and I was like, you know what? My informed medical consent, I'm going to go with my immune system and integrated manual therapy and just be healthy as I can be, and trust God and nature. That was my decision. Not to say that's anybody else's decision, but it's like so much of what we have been told. I know my whole life I was told stuff, and I did everything I was told because that's what I did. I got my oil change in my car. I did my tune-ups. I did stuff. I went to the dentist. I did all my checkups, and I just trusted stuff. And there was a recent podcast from the two editors from the JAMA. One was General American Medical Association Pediatric Division and online, or maybe there was two editors, and they were having this discussion about fluoride. And they said, yeah, for all these years as medical students and then doctors, we were told fluoride is safe. You're going to get some pushback from parents, but the science is settled. We've got this wire. This is going to be this is the greatest thing ever for public health. And then they said, well, recently there was this study that came out that said that it lowered IQ in children. If the pregnant woman drinks water that's fluoridated, it lowers the IQ of children on the same level as lead. And that now there's they're in the last part of a lawsuit after all these years, 50 years of research actually, to get it out of the water supply. But the two editors were talking about, yeah, we were just told this, but we didn't really go look. We just trusted it. And so it's kind of cool to start to like tune in energetically and see, does this smell right? Does this feel right? And can I look at for myself and see what's true for you? I just had to like put it out there because there is some amazing research that, like Dr. Tom just talked about, the study with the mask and surgeons' health and ability to function. And it's kind of cool to look at the science yourself a bit.
Right. I think the internet is a big equalizer that we can use to try to get the information, but we are under some socialistic pressures at the same time. So yeah. I even hope that this this webinar stays up on this.
Yeah, I might have made some people look at it because they do search. I'm leaving another link because Google, that's an interesting one. Google and Chrome, the Google products of how to search on the internet. There's another one called Brave. So I just left it there, www.brave.com. And when you go and download it, it's like your Chrome. It's like a version of Chrome or Firefox or Safari or Mozilla. It's like your Chrome. It's called brave.com, but it doesn't track your information and it doesn't censor information like Google now does. And then you can link it to something called DuckDuckGo, which they kind of walk you through, and that's like your Google. So it's a way to get uncensored information. It's quite an interesting thing to like type in some of these controversial topics into Google and then type them into Brave. and see what the difference is. So I'll put
That,
that.
that'll be interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, because and you know, Dr. Tom and I aren't for everybody, but for those looking for these kind of ways of tapping into your own body's natural healing and the wisdom of nature, and looking at science directly and using that and the art of touching people and finding stuff. He's a great resource. So you can find more of Dr. Tom at imtwellnesscenter.com and get on his newsletter for those Zoom calls and for other healings and trainings and stuff. And I've got a link, I'll put it in the description later, to go through my stuff if you want some more of my stuff. And yeah, autoimmuneanswers.com. And yeah, this has been a really cool one. And I'm thank you for sharing stuff that's super accessible. Like, you know, we have so many integrated manual therapy techniques, hands-on, to do things called blueprints and systems to clear anxiety and depression and anger and all these things. But you shared stuff that somebody can just literally go to the links and get the books on Amazon and just start to do it. And
Yeah.
and that's stuff that I use to this day, even though I learned it way back in 2000.
So Ralph, I just want one more product that I have is a newsletter for RBDs, which are reflective biological disorders. And you know, you're on my short list to have those reviewed, but every month there is a esoteric speech that I write out, 10 to 20, about 6 to 15 articles a month of how people are feeling, like the Blue Eyed series. And there are hand placements, nutritional suggestions in that. And if you go to the website, you can find out how to sign up for that newsletter. It is a paid newsletter, but there are therapies and the hand placements there, and it tells symptoms and release those symptoms, and then also where we're going as a culture, as a society, and everything else.
That's
So
also putting it in right now. imwellnesscenter.com to go find the RBD newsletter.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so many resources so that no matter where you're at, with being able to get to the East Coast for Tom or the West Coast for me, or wanting more work over the internet from Dr. Tom or from me, or you just want to start to look into it yourself, imtwellnesscenter.com, highwire.com for just news and look at the research yourself. You can go to the books, Body Wisdom and Reflection Therapy, and then my link, ralphhavens.com/true healing, which there are a lot of resources, free stuff. I'll just put that in here. Yeah, and if you like this, if you think it's useful, please share it for other people, because this could help a lot of people. A lot of people are hurting. And click like, click share, click the little button, the icon, the bell, so you can get notified. Because we go live every Wednesday, but sometimes we go live at other times too. So yeah, share it, and let's get the world healed. Anything else you want to say, Tom?
Nope. Thank you for having me on, and wishing everybody a safe week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Tom. So appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye, you guys.